You may remember we spoke about Maverick Games, the studio that has been formed from previous Playground Games developers. Well, I've got some exciting news. Not only do we have Maverick Games working on a rival for Forza Horizon, we also have Lighthouse Games working on a rival. And not only that, we have a rival for Need for Speed as well. From all the fallout that happened around Need for Speed around launch, we've actually got Fuse Games, another dev. All three of these developers are working on AAA racing titles. At least, I definitely know two of them are. But I'm pretty certain it's all three of them. And I'm going to be talking about today what they're working on, what we know, who's heading them up, and why the hell are they working on games that aren't Need for Speed and Forza? Where are developers going? I'm going to touch on each of them a little bit lightly to begin with. Say, for example, the one we know about probably the most, and that's Maverick Games. Now, these are spawned from developers that left the game because of, well, reasons of complacency. They got bored of building the same game over and over again. These are the people that left, I think, around the time FH5 was come out. It is a little bit later than that. And then you've got Lighthouse Games, which also just released a big public PR piece that tells us a little bit more about what they're working on. And, yeah, this is openly a direct competitor to Forza Horizon by people that worked on Forza Horizon since, like, the beginning. And on the Need for Speed side, we've got Fuse Games. Now, Fuse Games is an interesting one because this, again, was spawned based on frustrations of other people wanting to go a different way, maybe a more grounded, less artsy style way. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Need for Speed had a struggle as to whether it was going to go more cartoony or less cartoony for a reason of trying to be different. And that's what all of these three games are gonna have in common. They want to be different. They are bored, arguing against doing the same shit again and again and again. In a time when the industry is playing it way too safe, this should excite you. This is AAA money we're talking about here. I even said literally the other day about Forza Horizon. It's very much a 1 year game. It is wearing a 2-year coat. You know, just to add a little bit of extra puffiness to it. 4 years playing Horizon takes its toll. Now imagine making it and then being told you make another one. Think about the idea of the Need for Speed community complaining about effects on your car. This. Imagine wanting to make an in-depth storyline. Maybe you worked on Horizon 1, but you get characters as paper thin as that fella over there. Oh, to be fair, they might all be 3D models these days. They're doing a pretty good job, actually. That's not bad. The last time a game wanted to be disruptive is a word that I've seen the developers using was literally when we got the Crew 1. Now, whether you played the Crew 1 or not, you will know that thing absolutely broke rules. It went out of its way to maybe not be the most polished experience in the world, and that was fine, which is often why I don't really care about visual bugs. The pure polish of Forza Horizon becomes frustrating when, for example, I've played the same thing for 5 Horizons. Okay, maybe 4. Let's learn a little bit about these developers, shall we? So, Maverick Games is actually probably the one we know the most about. They came out with an article, and they are being funded, backed by Amazon. Yeah, that's a pretty substantial team to be working under. If you check out this picture of the developers, you might actually spot a few people here that worked on the Horizon games, and also just some other games you've probably enjoyed, or maybe games you haven't enjoyed yet. Look at this handsome devil over here. That would be Mr. Mike Brown, who was the creative director for the Forza Horizon franchise. Amazon Games announced today, which was actually May 29, 2024, that they've reached an agreement with Maverick Games to publish a new AAA multi-platform title. The unannounced game will be narrative-led open world driving game for PC, PS5, and the Xbox Series X and S. Let's freaking go! We know a little bit about this one. I'm not going to go super in depth, but essentially, we founded Maverick Games with a clear vision to build a developer-first studio that would foster an environment of creativity and risk-taking. Sexy! Just words? I don't care. Give me more of them. And ultimately, that means we're going to be creating a game that our players are going to fall in love with. As we got to know the team at Amazon Games, it quickly became clear that we shared the ethos. Exciting! New game! It's not just Mike Brown. If you're not from the UK, you won't know, but the writer of Skins is here for the lead writing. Forza Horizon series, F1 All-Stars, the best F1 game ever made. Forza Horizon, Grid, Dirt, Horizon, Fable, fantastic. And they are at 60 people as of a year ago. To let you know, Need for Speed only hit like 100-ish developers at its height of recent times, which is it's crazy. This is Fuse Games, and this one's a little interesting. Again, part of the reason we're probably not getting a Need for Speed in the short term, but you may know some of the developers here. Now, this is gonna be quite interesting here, actually. Oh my god, how many people have they got at Fuse Games now? I've not been on here in a long time, but it seems like I'm out of loop. This is a lot of developers. There is Kieran. He was the creative lead for Need for Speed Unbound, or like the head producer, I believe. And Mr. Matt Webster. If you know me and Matt Webster, hey, listen, I've heard of all kinds of drama. Mr. Matt Webster. There's just a little bit of toxicity when it comes to game development. And ultimately, the man was in charge of Criterion since, like, what, Burnout Paradise and the like. So great, but also Most Wanted 2012. Yeah, and ultimately it was also partly his decision to, like, Criterion have the taking of the reins for Need for Speed, so there's some questions to be had, but I'm overall excited to see more racing games. This is something we've needed for a long time, I think, and these guys have been cooking early. Already building games based on expertise and based on other people's money. That's good news. Anyway, this was former Criterion lead to establish a new AAA studio, Fuse Games. This is from March 16th, 2023. They have been working on something. I mean, I doubt they had a full running game. Anyway, this was actually pretty interesting because right at the beginning in 2023, well, there was clearly a lot more on that slide we were looking at before. So someone's updating the website. So Fuse has already received significant funding and has quickly expanded its development team to 17 members. That was a hell of a lot more than 17. There is definitely more than 17 people here. The company's first project, a AAA title, claims to deliver blockbuster spectacle and player-centric innovations and social gameplay. Again, this one doesn't, I don't think it says racing. There's a chance it's otherwise, but AAA. Which is crazy. Like, straight away. Who is giving these people money? They made Unbound. It's EA's fault. We know it's EA's fault. Oh, come on. And says it hopes to build a modern, high-end performing workplace that encourages its employees to be value-led. All this office spiel speak just bollocks, mate. We're striving to inspire and lead the next generation of game developers and game industry leaders. But listen, at a time when a job in game development seems the scariest, I am really glad to see things like this and also getting funding. What it tells me is publishers actually are interested in trying something new. These games may take a little bit longer to cook, and we might not even see them until the beginning of next generation or later in this generation. But the fact is they're taking chances, and I'm really happy to see that. Whether they are going in the way that we want or the way that we don't want. The fact of the matter is we're going to have more racing IP probably towards the end of the generation than ever before. And that seems to be a recurring thing. This generation has been a little messy is an understatement. Basically, everyone's losing their job. Big companies are cutting the amount of games and being more careful with where they throw their money. But racing games have always been that IP that at some point during the generational cycle, we get an uptick of them and some of them go crazy. I am very excited. Please, someone make a Blur game. And please don't get bought by like a big company like Xbox or EA or... I can't lose any more of you. You guys, it's so unfair. And last but certainly not least is Lighthouse Games. This is the newcomer that started to really just talk about what they're planning to do. That's the game we have to beat. Lighthouse Games on making a disruptive driving game to take on Forza Horizon just received additional funding from Tencent. The Leamington Spa-based studio, which is like the same place as the Horizon devs, has around 50... Wait, plans to hire 50 more! I didn't even read that. 50 more! AAA game studio formed in 2022 by Playground Games co-founder and former studio head Gavin. We got publishing director, talked to GameIndustry.biz. This is a very important website. While it's too soon to talk specifics around the game, the intention is to take on Playground's Forza Horizon series, partly because Xbox's open world driving game has shown just how high the ceiling goes for success. These are people that know how successful it can be. And they were like, no, we want to do something fun. This is the type of shit I love. These are the few benefits available from capitalism. I would say we're not building Forza Horizon. Yes! If I wanted to build Horizon 6, 7, and 8, I would have stayed at Playground. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to do something new, and that's what we're doing now. How does that not make you have a raging... Sorry about that. I think Horizon has shown that there's a real desire on behalf of gamers to play games with cars. I think it's just been an underserved sector for the audience for the last 10, 15 years. And I think Horizon is shaking that up a little bit. And perhaps that's why others are trying to copy the formula. Yes, it's not a festival racer. Let's go! But again, that's why we think there's room for disruption here. People want more experiences. They don't just want the Horizon experience. And there isn't really many places you go. You can go to the indie area of the market. Yes, you can find some games there, but these are huge areas where I think we could move into to satisfy a latent desire for different types of car games. They're working on Unreal Engine, so that's going to be taming the beast. It may be all doom and gloom for Need for Speed for the current, but I feel like with this cooking, this could take EA two different ways. They may go the competitive route. They may go, let's actually take this on and try and destroy these games. I mean, capitalism, it's what happens. Playground games could feel the same. They could feel a worry and actually put more newness, more creativity, more difference into their Horizon games to combat this, because they're losing their own heads. They're losing their own shoulders because they want to make something different. It may burn Horizon to the ground, but this, my friends, this is capitalism. The mild benefits of capitalism means we get more shit. Now, they absolutely could all fail, but either way, they are going to be fighting for our attention. And if you're not excited by that, you're in the wrong place. Otherwise, hit the subscribe.